Zapdos is one of the greatest Pokemon ever in competitive Pokemon, across all the generations of competitive singles, and is an alright option in VGC as well. Zapdos has great stats with good bulk and great offenses. Its typing is amazingly defensively as well, while being an electric type that is immune to ground and being only weak to ice and rock. Zapdos has been able to stay a relevant Pokemon in competitive singles in every generation except for Gen 5 where it did fell off. In this video I want to go over what makes Zapdos one of the best Pokemon in competitive singles throughout the generations, and I will mention VGC here and there as well, though this video will be mainly focused on competitive singles. In Gen 1 OU, Zapdos was without a doubt the best electric type in the metagame because of its high stats and its powerful stat moves, these being Thunderbolt and Drill Peck. This made Zapdos a great mixed attacker and late game sweeper that could boost its speed even further with agility, and it also had Thunder Wave to cripple opponents. Its mixed attacking capabilities allowed it to muscle its way past Pokemon that could comfortably tank Thunderbolt like Executor and Chansey. Rhydon and Golem were able to comfortably switch into Zapdos though and threaten it back, but these are minor inconveniences compared to the value Zapdos offers in Gen 1. Gen 2 is no different really. Zapdos is a defining Pokemon in the metagame. It still remains a very strong Pokemon because of its high 125 special attack stat and near perfect coverage with Stab Thunderbolt and Hidden Power Ice, allowing it to hit ground and grass types super effectively. Zapdos is especially threatening with Spike support to chip down Pokemon that could withstand it like Snorlax. Not to mention it could cripple these Pokemon with paralysis as well. It does face some competition from Raikou, but Raikou lacks the defensive traits Zapdos has, such as an immunity to ground types and spikes while resisting bulk and fighting moves. Its amazing typing and bulk make it a great Pokemon for Rest Talk as well, allowing Zapdos to stay around longer and shrug off Toxic from Pokemon like Skarmory and Blissey. Zapdos offers a great balance between offense and defense in Gen 2, making it very easy to fit on many teams. In Gen 3 OU, Zapdos is the most versatile special threat. It really comes down to the same reasons: great special attack stat, good speed tier and respectable bulk, on top of a great defensive typing, allowing to easily pivot into bulky water types and Pokemon like Metagross, not to mention its immunity to spikes. Its versatility makes Zapdos a good fit on both spikeless offensive teams, but also on teams that use spikes, like offensive teams with TSS, which is defined as a Toxic Sandstorm Spikes team. Agility plus Baton Pass allows Zapdos to turn itself into a dangerous late game cleaner or supportive mon that can pass a speed boost to its teammates. Furthermore, its decent attack stat make it a good mixed wall breaker as well. While Zapdos is fast, it does face some competition from faster Pokemon like Jolteon, Aerodactyl and Starmie as a fast late game sweeper on offensive teams. Even though these Pokemon outspeed Zapdos, they do lack the raw power or move flexibility to take Zapdos on in a one-on-one situation. Zapdos also struggles a bit with Tyranitar, which can exploit it to set up a Dragon Nest for free. Despite these shortcomings, Zapdos is an amazing threat in the tier that every team needs to prepare a strategy against. In Gen 4, Zapdos take a bit of a hit because the ever meta-defining Stealth Rock got introduced in Gen 4. And with Zapdos taking 25% from Stealth Rock when it switches into this limits its capabilities as a defensive wall. However, it did get access to Roost in Gen 4, blessing Zapdos with reliable recovery to negate this. In Gen 4, Zapdos typing, stats and move pool make it a great defensive option to threats like Jirachi, Metagross and Lucario and other physical threats, while hitting the majority of the metagame for neutral damage with Stab Thunderbolt and Discharge, while providing momentum with U-turn. Not to mention Zapdos has amazing coverage with the aforementioned Hidden Power Ice and now Heat Wave as well. Zapdos does struggle with the meta-defining Tyranitar and Latias, but this can be solved with good team composition and does not take away from this Zapdos power, as it is difficult Pokemon to counter in the tier overall. Zapdos is pretty good in Gen 4 VGC as well because of its typing, stats and move pool. It has great spread moves like Discharge and Heat Wave and Tailwind for team support. It also pairs very nicely with Garchomp, which was very strong, and Garchomp is immune to Zapdos' Discharge, while Zapdos is immune to the Earthquake of Garchomp. Zapdos is weak to Rock Slide though, which is a common move in doubles. Gen 5 OU is the first and only downfall of Zapdos throughout the generations, in competitive singles at least. Zapdos fell down to the UU tier, though it proves to be one of the strongest special attackers in the UU tier. In the OU tier though, Zapdos does have its uses, but it competes with Rotom Wash as a defensive Pokemon and Thundurus Therian as an offensive Pokemon. Zapdos separates itself from Rotom Wash as it can threaten and check Ferrothorn, Breloom and Scizor with Heat Wave. It also has reliable recovery with Roost, giving it more longevity despite its weakness to Stealth Rock, which is something Rotom does not have. Rotom Wash is generally used more though, since it resists water and ice moves while being neutral to Stealth Rock, allowing it to check Pokemon like Mamoswine and Keldeo. Thundurus Therian outclasses Zapdos as an offensive Pokemon because of its higher special attack stat, slightly higher speed stat and access to Nasty Plot, further increasing its already high special attack stat. In Gen 5 VGC, Zapdos typing and bulk allows it to check Garchomp and Metagross while distinguishing itself from other defensive Pokemon with its offensive stats and spread moves. While it does get outclassed by Thundurus, it does have Heat Wave and Tailwind going for it and was still a good Pokemon for the Discharge Earthquake combo. Unfortunately, Zapdos is weak to common spread moves like Rock Slide, which was mentioned earlier, and Blizzard, and gets threatened by faster offensive threats like Weavile, Terrakion and Latios. In Gen 6, after its slight downfall in Gen 5 OU, it's back in Gen 6 OU, acting as a great defensive check to several Pokemon. It really comes down to the same traits that have already been mentioned, like its typing, stats and move pool. Though it did get a direct buff with the ability Static, and an indirect buff as well, because Defog as a move got buffed, so Zapdos got 2 nice buffs in Gen 6. In Gen 6 OU, Zapdos serves as a great check to the dangerous threats like Mega Pinsir, Mega Scizor and Tornadus Therian while exerting offensive pressure itself and being able to remove hazards with Defog and being one of the only hazard removers that can beat Bisharp, which is commonly used to punish Defog attempts. That being said though, Zapdos is still being held back by its Stealth Rock weakness, especially as a Defogger, and does not have the sheer bulk other defensive Pokemon have. Offensively, it still gets outclassed by Thundurus Therian as well. Despite these limitations, Zapdos is a great Pokemon in the tier and provides a lot of value when played to its strengths. Gen 6 VGC is basically the same scenario as Gen 5 VGC, it gets outclassed by Thundurus. It was used in the first year of VGC since Thundurus was not allowed, and it does have more bulk and Tailwind and Heat Wave going for it just like in the past. In Gen 7 OU, Zapdos pretty much does the same thing, but it now also serves as a check to the dangerous Pokemon Kartana, and it can check and cripple other offensive threats like Mega Medicham and Mega Lopunny. Hidden Power Ice allows it to not become setup fodder to otherwise Pokemon that can wall it like Landorus T and Garchomp. Unfortunately for Zapdos, its Stealth Rock weakness still hurts it, and offensive Pokemon it is supposed to check can break through it. Garchomp and Landorus can break through Zapdos with the Z-Rock move, and Kartana can use Swords Dance plus the Z-Normal move to break through it. Zapdos still fits on a lot of team archetypes though, thanks to its ability to check many notable threats and being a defensive check that is not passive either. Yet again though, I do not have much to add for Gen 7 VGC. Zapdos yet again faces heavy competition by Thundurus and also Mega Manectric and Tapu Koko. It does set itself apart with the traits already mentioned earlier. In Gen 8, Zapdos got some very significant buffs. With the introduction of Heavy Duty Boots, it can negate its very crippling Stealth Rock weakness. On top of that, it got access to the moves Hurricane and Weather Ball. This makes it an excellent and better offensive threat than Thundurus Therian or Rain teams, since it can abuse 100% accurate Hurricanes while still being able to act as a defensive check to Grass types that Rain struggles with like Kartana and Rillaboom, which is something Thundurus T lacks. Heavy Duty Boots alleviates Zapdos' defensive utility as well, since it can now more reliably check offensive Pokemon like the aforementioned Kartana and Rillaboom, as well as Buzzwole, Melmetal, Landorus Therian and Tornadus Therian. This also makes it a more reliable defog user. Zapdos is very prone to knockoff from Pokemon it's supposed to check though, like Rillaboom and Kartana, since losing Heavy Duty Boots is a big deal to its overall ability to stay healthy throughout the match, especially with Toxic being very common as well. Zapdos also faces competition from Corvic Knight, which has a better defensive typing and is not weak to Stealth Rock, making it a more reliable defensive wall and defog user. In Gen 8 VGC, Zapdos is actually pretty good. Zapdos is an excellent user of Dynamax. Its typing is great defensively and offensively, allowing it to avoid attacks from Groudon and being resistant to Zacian's Behemoth Blade. Zapdos shines on Rain teams with Kyogre, as it can abuse terrain with Hurricane, Thunder and Weather Ball while being able to support Kyogre with max Airstream, boosting Kyogre's speed and hitting grass types for a lot of damage too. When not used as a Dynamax candidate though, Zapdos struggles with certain matchups like Snarl Pokemon and Light Screen users, and its speed boosting effect can be negated by teams using max Airstream of their own or Tailwind. Overall, Zapdos is a better Pokemon in competitive singles than it has been in VGC, but it still has its juices over there. And it has remained very relevant in competitive singles throughout the generation since introduction, which not a lot of Pokemon can say. Check out my video on the best Pokemon competitive singles in each generation if you haven't already, and consider liking this video if you enjoyed or learned something new. Do you agree with Zapdos being one of the best competitive Pokemon ever? Let me know, and thank you for watching.